Hello everyone. Many of you have heard the rumors that effective September 1st, if you are providing 60 days notice effective from the date of expiration of a tenancy, that you will be moving in to the property, your spouse will be moving in, your child will be moving in, that either 1 month's compensation or in the alternative reasonable accommodation should be provided to the tenant. And this is in fact true. So we have now the Rent Fairness Act, which basically amends the Residential Tenancies Act, and there's two notable changes that you should be aware of. One, if you are providing that 60 days notice for personal occupancy, you will be required to pay that 1 month's compensation or provide the accommodation. The second provision is the 120 days notice, which is required in the event of a major renovation or a demolition, in which situation you would be required to provide again either reasonable accommodation in the alternative or 3 months compensation to the tenant. Now, just to quickly cap the three reasons a landlord can require vacant possession of a property at the end of the lease term itself. And what I mean by this is that if you've got a tenancy starting from the 1st of January, 1 year, arguably it does end on the 31st of December, but if notice isn't provided by either the tenant or the landlord, then that tenancy automatically rolls over to a month to month. So the three current provisions are: one, for personal occupancy, which requires 60 days notice effective in the example that I've given you from the 31st of December. 60 days prior to that, you would serve that notice that you're moving in, your spouse is moving in, your parent is moving in, your child is moving in. This does not apply to a sibling or a best buddy or a friend, so you do need to keep that in mind. Secondly, if you've sold the property, again, 60 days notice would be provided from the 31st of December in our example, and then 120 days notice in the event of a major renovation or demolition. So that's where we are now. This is a result of Ontario's 16-point plan. Point 2, if you recall, did two things. Or proposed two things. One was to apply rent controls, which are now effective across the board for the most part, and two, provide new legislation which would basically make it more and more difficult for landlords to unequitably or unjustly have the property vacated by a tenant in order to, for example, rent it out to somebody for a higher rate, or simply provide a unreasonable amount of rental increase, which would require the tenant to move in simply so that the landlord could, in effect, rent it out at a greater rate to a new tenant. I hope this video helps. We'll see you again next time.